Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Minya dafo a wotie me. Me mo akwa abiem. E do tumfo Nyankopon ase so ma enne so akwa apro aba betoye. Me so tumfo Nyankopon so wonye wo kase biem wate. Enne nso ye ba bedi nkomo. Na ye nkomo a ye ba bedi no. Ya to the objective moral values. Now, enne we want to address Avraham Ben Moshie. He is our topic today. He is our target today. In my previous videos, you make sure say we establish why God exists. We've made about 6 videos or so. Mestro so bobo modern so one way sa videos na bobo modern wa kwa. Na ene da idea ye pesi expose Avraham Ben Moshie. Na ideas e kutan ye pesi expose near dissect no, right? And try and see be isn't it Allah Ta'ala you're trying to destroy those ideas. Now make bibi kakra in an introductory remark after Avraham Ben Moshie. Avraham Ben Moshie nipa bi I have so much respect for. Through this guy, Ghanaians are beginning to think, which is a very good thing. He is offering a lot of debate that is challenging the status quo, a challenging university lecturers. Obi also enyam sumni biya no. Now religion cannot be taken for granted no more in Ghana. If you are a religious person, you cannot be sleeping and not defending the ideas that you hold. And if you watch my previous videos, we have tried to give light to these ideas of religion. So therefore, Jumadia Yenuya Avraham Ben Moshie Odino, say no no. He's challenging religion. He's challenging Muslims and Christians all together to get them to think about what they say and what they believe in. And I think it's a good thing. Not only that, his idea say, I was see a man before Munyani flew Munna or more or Madamuno. I was seeing Yanni Omo. Nien starting you see Adjane. Yenjai laziness. Yen sorry nien corny and koyajuma. Nien pia nwaduan nien shema. Nien jai bone. Yenya dansikurumu. Yenya jamai. Yenya kasesem. Nemum yam fire home. Enti ye niwa ya honso ni ani adwene onyankopon de amayen ne emfa nya adwuma ene bemboa mi atimi atumpon ne enya ese kotena asoro de mo a ne adwene ye nse osofu bi ba mi adim atumpon osofu bi ka tro so wo maami bi na eye wo sane amani nyina Avraham Ben Moshie ne nsemo o ka no atwini pa adwene koso na emi de bebre sade na wo ye no I'm in support of his thinking. But that does not mean Avraham Ben Moshie, his ideas that he holds, all of them are correct. So today we are going to raise his ideas intellectually and try to expose those ideas and to see how they do not hold water. And today my focus is on Avraham Ben Moshie. Now, as I give an introductory remark about Avraham Ben Moshie, Mesama Kafa no say, what should I say? Wanono, he's different from those bishops and charismatic leaders. Our matitin sorry or mudi jin krofosikadi. What should I say? Sorry. So bakakotina sorry them say, oh small tune for Yankopon, who is still time. And unti what he's been saying is that wanono dear one tia sorry biya. Na the Mekancha Avraham Ben Moshie say Unfortunately, what you are doing and what the bishops and those that are creating a lot of churches, or like Obenim and others, are doing in Ghana, I don't think you are very different from them. With all humility, I don't think you are different from them. In terms of creating a group and finding some money here and there to fund that group and your activities, you are not different from them. You may be different from them because of maybe the bad things maybe they are doing there, which I don't know. But you are not different from them in terms of the way you are making money. In truth, you and your Commonsense family is an organization. You are set up to give a message. And your message is one of the ideas that even if God exists, He's got no business in our lives. That is an idea. That is a belief that you are selling to people. And people are buying it. And they are buying it, they give you money for that. So if you say you don't get money for, how do you get money to do all the videos that you're doing, to carry on all the activities that you are involved in? Obviously, you are making money. People sponsor you. You cannot categorically deny this fact that you get money from somewhere. How do you fund what you do? So in that sense, you're not very different from the charismatic churches that are in Ghana. The only difference is that you are being clever. You are being clever. You are offering your messages online, on YouTube. And people are buying it. People are listening to you. Because some of the things you say make sense. And I believe that a lot of things that you say make sense. Especially telling Africans that we have to use our brains to think and to go out there and work. That makes sense. And people are listening to you. So instead of you organizing people to go and sit in a church, what you are doing is you are organizing yourself online. And in fact, you are clever. Because so sorry, na so sit down, ubetria light bill. Yeah? Ubetria water bill. But you are being clever. You're doing it online, and all these costs are getting away with. But you're no more different from that person who goes to the church or the priest who open a church. You're not different. The only difference is that yours is online. But in terms of getting money, you get money out of what you're doing. So you're no more different from them. So that's the first thing I want to say about you. Do not think you're very different. For example, I'll tell you, me a church for I'm go UK. Now, and I'm coronavirus in Tino. A teacher for more the whole of UK. We are home. But that does not mean we are not working. We are teaching children online through Zoom and all other technological devices that we've got. So teaching is still going on. The only difference is that the environment in which we do this is now different. Instead of sitting children in the classroom, we are doing it online. That's exactly what you are doing. That's exactly what you're doing. You're giving your messages online and making money out of it. Let's face the fact that you are making money out of this. But that's not my objective today. My objective today is to try and expose intellectually the ideas that you hold. And another thing I want to say about you is this. You keep changing the goalposts. You see, when somebody listens to your videos, what we come out with intellectually, although you actually try to avoid this, anybody with clear conscience listening to your videos will come to the conclusion that you don't believe in the existence of God. You don't. But you see, the point is you cannot prove whether God exists or God doesn't exist. And in a Ghanaian environment, if you come out to say that you don't believe in the existence of God, then you're going to have a lot of opposition facing you. So you are being clever. What you are saying is you believe in God. You are saying it that you believe in God, but that God has no business in our life, what we do, the activities that we do every day. Our belief in God has no impact on whatever we do. So we want to take this idea that you hold and we want to try and see if it makes sense. So we will expose this idea that is it correct to say that you believe in God, but that God doesn't play a role in your life? We will try and understand this. The other thing I want to talk about you is that in your videos, you need to make yourself very clear. This is very important. Because now I'm forced to listen to your videos and try to derive your ideas and try to attack them if I want to. All right. But you will make life easy for everybody trying to discuss anything with you, that you make your position very clear. Are you an atheist? Which means that you do not believe in the existence of God. Are you agnostic? In other words, you sit in the middle. You are claiming that there is no enough evidence to prove that God exists, and that there is no enough evidence that also prove that God doesn't exist. So you are in the middle. Are you agnostic? Are you professing that position? Or do you believe in the existence of God? These are the three positions that you can choose one. So make it very clear to rest. Those people who want to discuss with you, intellectually with you, it is fair that you make yourself very clear, rather than we trying to infer from your videos. One way you could do this is to write a book. Or another way to do this is to write an article where you make your position very clear so that we can quote those articles or quote your book and to be able to make sure that we can attack them. All right. So I'm sorry, I'm forced to watch your videos, and then from them, I've been able to come up with the ideas you hold. And those ideas are the ideas that I'm going to try and attack. So today we want to talk about the moral values. What you are arguing in one of your videos, one of your popular videos, is that you believe that God exists. That's what you are saying. But a lot of your videos, the implications of them tells me clearly that you don't believe that God exists, although you do say that God exists. But let's say you believe that God exists. But what you are arguing in those a lot of your videos is that although you believe that God exists, God shouldn't play any role in our life. So how we educate ourselves, what job we do, how we raise our children, God shouldn't have a say in that. Again, you also argue that we don't need God to know what is right or wrong. You have to correct me if I'm wrong, because I am forced to only come up with these ideas from your videos. So what I believe you are saying is, whether we believe in God or not, it has no role in our life. And what you are also saying is that we do not need God to exist to tell us what we should do when we wake up in the morning, first thing in the morning on Monday, how we should go about our life. We don't need God to tell us all those things. Because God has given us a brain, a common sense to be able to regulate our lives. Is that what you're saying? I think that's what you're saying. And that is the idea that I'm going to try and talk about today. Avraham Ben Moshie, you are wrong. You are entirely wrong. Because I believe that whichever position that you take, whether you are an atheist, that means you don't believe in the existence of God, or you are agnostic, or you are a theist, that is, you believe that God exists. These beliefs, no matter what your position is, would definitely have an impact in the way you live your life. You can't run away from that. In fact, the reason why religious people who believe that God exists, they believe that believing that God exists means that you also accept that God should be your source, your focal point, your reference point in the way you organize your life. So if you say you do not believe in God, then it makes sense that your life is not regulated by God, and therefore you go about doing your own thing. So where do you stand, Avraham Ben Moshie? Do you believe that God exists and therefore God plays a role in your life? Which is the reason why religious people like me, I'm a Muslim, I believe that God exists. And the reason I believe that is that God should play a role in the way I do things every day. So whether I decide to work in a bar where there's alcohol, or I decide not to work in those places, is determined by my religion. So my contention here is this, that everybody in this world have got a belief. Avraham Ben Moshie, you have a belief. In fact, you have a religion. And one of your belief is that, and I'm going to quote you, one of your belief is what I've already said. One of your belief system is that, and you sell this to people, is that God exists, but he doesn't play a role in our life. That is one of your beliefs. So you have a belief. Everybody in this world, whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God, you have a belief. And based on that belief, you regulate your life. Everything you do in this world depends on your belief systems. And this is a true fact, which Avraham Ben Moshie cannot run away from. So let's go back to our purpose today, which is to try and tell you that you are wrong to say that we can believe that God exists and also believe that he does not play a role in our life. You are wrong. You're totally wrong. You also believe that we can use our common sense. We don't need God. We have a common sense that is wired in our brains that can tell us that something is right and we do it, and something is wrong and we should stop doing it. We don't need God to tell us that. Avraham Ben Moshie, you are wrong. You are totally wrong. And this video, we're going to try and expose that you are totally wrong. I will say to you clearly that we humans cannot decide what is right and wrong. We cannot. And this video will make these two positions very clear. So in these two videos, this video, I'm trying to achieve two objectives. To try and expose your idea that God exists, but he doesn't play a role in our life. Number two, I'm going to try and destroy your thinking that humans are capable of deciding what is right and wrong, so we don't need God. This is my objective. This is what I want to destroy. And I think you are wrong. So because this is an argument, I need to have a premise and I need to have a conclusion. So we're going to approach this systematically. So what is my premise? My premise is this. Number one, if God does not exist, then objective moral values and duties do not exist. I repeat, my first premise is that if God does not exist, then objective moral values and duties do not exist. Premise number two, objective moral values do exist. Objective moral values do exist. And therefore, God exists as my conclusion. My conclusion is that God exists. So the first premise is, if God does not exist, then objective moral values do not exist. You can also say it differently. If God exists, then objective moral values do exist. And my second premise is that objective moral values do exist. And therefore, the third proposition, my conclusion, is that God exists. And when God exists, He regulates our life. And He is the source of our actions. And He decides what is right and what is wrong. So this is the argument that we're going to defend today. So let's take the first proposition, that if God does not exist, then objective moral values do not exist. So the baby me stress up this proposition very, very clear. I will see defining some ideas in that particular premise. The premise is this. So Nyankopɔn bia ni wa enye papa ne bɔne nso no eni hɔ. This is my first argument. So Nyankopɔn bia ni wa, then papa ne bɔne has no moral grounding. So let's try and define the ideas in here. So what is values? When we say values, values simply means something is good or bad. Duties refers to our responsibility. Okay? Duties are whether something is right or wrong. I repeat, values refers to whether something is bad or good. Duties refers to whether something is right or wrong. It looks to me, if I'm not very careful, what's the difference here? Bad or wrong, good or bad? There's a difference. When we say something is bad or wrong, when we say something is bad or good, then we are only referring to the worthiness of that particular thing. But when we talk about something is right or wrong, then we are talking about our moral obligation. It is something that we ought to do or not to do. So, duties refers to an action. Let me give you examples so that this will become very clear. So, it may be good for you to become a doctor. It may be good for you to become a doctor. But that does not mean you have a moral obligation, a moral duty to become a doctor. Obviously, it could also be good for you to become an engineer or become a pilot. So can you see? It may be good for you to become a doctor, but you don't have to become a doctor. And when you choose not to become a doctor, you have not committed any moral, you have not committed any wrong thing. It is not wrong to choose that. Can you see? But when we talk about duties, then we are referring to our moral obligation. Our moral obligation. Something that we ought to do. If we don't do it, it is wrong. If you do it, then it is right. So that is what we mean by the distinction. We also need to clarify something in the first premise, which is I use the word objective. When we say objective moral values, then what we are trying to say here is that there is something that is right or wrong, irrespective of our individual opinions or judgments about them. I repeat, we say that something is objective when you and I, what we think about it doesn't matter. It is objectively true. It's objectively good or bad. Your opinion doesn't matter. You cannot have a subjective view on that. Subjectivity simply means that everybody can have an opinion about it. But when we say something is objectively, it's an objective moral values, then you cannot have an opinion about it. So let's give an example. I think we can all agree that the Holocaust, where 6 million Jews were killed by Hitler, many thinking people will agree that that is wrong. So irrespective of what Hitler thinks, whether even Hitler and his people were able to succeed in the Second World War, if they did succeed in killing everybody, which they didn't, but let's assume if they did succeed, that will still not make it right, even if they then propagate the idea that it was okay, it was good, it was right thing to do to kill 6 million Jews. Even if they succeeded in the Second World War and Hitler was able to propagate throughout the world that it was the right thing to do, it will still not make it right. So we all agree that it is wrong for 6 million Jews to be killed. For another example, I'll give you some few more examples to clarify what we mean by objective moral values. In India, in ancient India, they had a practice which they call the suti. The suti is just a practice where when a woman's husband dies, during the funeral, what they do is that the woman is brought. And when they're doing the funeral, this woman is burnt alive. We can agree that on moral grounds, this is wrong. This is wrong. The same thing to do with terrorism. Somebody put bomb on himself, go into a public and blow himself up, saying he's doing something for God. We can all agree killing children and innocent people is wrong. So is rape. Rape is wrong. Similarly, there are certain things that we can agree that they are good in their own right. For example, something like honesty, telling the truth, being justice, making sure you are fair. Obi wadwuma ma wa, obetwa ne ka wa nimrem. Na wondada nipa. Ombo adwaman, obi aware, no akofa ne yere. All these, we can all agree that they are wrong. This is what we call objective moral values. You cannot say, for me alone, it is right to rape a child. So this is what we mean by objective moral values. Now here comes my argument, Ben Moshie. What you are saying in your videos is that we humans can decide what is right and what is wrong. Now my argument is that if God doesn't exist, if we take God out of the equations, who are we to decide what is right and wrong? What makes your thinking that something is wrong is better than what I think that particular same thing is right? What is in you that makes your decision better? Yeah? What is in your life, your body system, that makes what you think about something that you think is wrong and what I think about the same thing that I think that is right? What makes your decision better than my decision? Let me ask you, to make this very clear, let me ask you some few questions. If you are listening to me and watching this video, and I hope you might respond to this video as well, Avraham Ben Moshie. Let me ask you this. Do you think it is wrong for anybody to sleep with a child? Do you think it is wrong? Say a child of 8 years old and somebody is 35 years old. Do you think it's right? Maybe you might say it is wrong. Okay. Maybe common sense will tell you that it is wrong. That's what you say about common sense, isn't it? Now, what if the 8-year-old girl who the 35-year-old man slept with, if the 8-year-old girl says, I approve of it, I like him, I want him to sleep with me, do you think it will still be wrong? Maybe you will say it is still wrong. Maybe this child is still not matured enough to make right or wrong decision, and therefore it will be wrong for the 35-year-old man to sleep with such a girl. Okay, now let's move the argument further. Let me ask you this question then. Do you think it is right for a man to sleep with a man? Do you think, in your common sense argument, Ben Moshie, do you think that a man sleeps with another man, do you think is right or wrong? I need an answer from you if you're going to respond to this video. If you think it's wrong, then I'm afraid there are millions of people in the world. If you think it is wrong for a man to sleep with a man, there are millions of people in the world that believe that it is right. It is okay. What's wrong with that? If you're thinking that it is wrong, if you, Avraham Ben Moshie, if you are thinking that it is wrong for a man to sleep with another man, then my argument is this. There are a lot of millions of people in the world who believe that it is right. It is okay. There's nothing wrong with it. In fact, in the UK where I live, the government have made it permissible that a man and a man can marry and live happily ever after. Now let's look at it the other way around, the other side. If Avraham Ben Moshie, if you think it is okay, it is right for a man to marry a man or a woman to marry a woman for that matter, if you agree with this, then I want to say to you, there are many millions of people in the world who also disagree with you. In fact, a lot of people in Ghana think it is wrong. Now, here comes my question to you. What is it about you, your common sense? Because you are saying that we can use our common sense to decide what is right and wrong. Well, millions of people think that a man sleeping with a man is wrong. Millions of people think it is right. So what is it about your common sense that makes your thinking? But if you decide it is right, what makes your thinking against those people who think that is wrong? What makes you right? So you can see where I'm going with this. Where I'm going with this is that when you use human common sense, it doesn't take you far. It doesn't take you far. Because there is bound to be confusion. Let me give you another one more question. Do you think it is right for a woman who is now 40 years old to sleep with her own child who is 25 years old? The woman is 40 years, the son is 25 years old, and they sleep together. They sleep together. And when I say they sleep together, not that they sleep in the same room, they sleep on the same bed and do what people do. Naked on a bed and do what people do, what adults do. So Ben Moshie, maybe so. Do you think it's wrong? Maybe you might say it is wrong. Incest is wrong. My question is, what if the two of them, yeah, the woman is an adult, the man is also an adult, they say to you, we have agreed, in fact, to marry. Maame no se me na me wo ne de, enso me do no, me ba no no, enso me do no. Me pese me ne ware. Ne ba no so se me do me maame, me pese ye ware ne da. Avraham Ben Moshie, do you think it's wrong? They are adults. They have made a decision to live together. What makes it wrong? What makes it wrong? What makes it wrong? So, my first discussion with you is this. So you can see where using the human intellect to try and decide what is right and wrong can only take you a little far. It doesn't make it right. So that leads me on to the argument that without God, objective moral values do not exist. What is right and wrong do not exist. Because on what basis do you decide? So we need a lawgiver to be able to tell us what is right and what is wrong. Because if it is left between you and I as individual human beings, what we do is we decide what is right and wrong based on our interest, what benefits us. If something costs us so much, even if that thing is good, as humans, you will choose not to do it. If something is bad and it benefits you as human being, you will do it. This is the reason why we humans are incapable of deciding what is right and wrong. And this happens wherever you go, in every country. When you allow the human being to decide what is right and wrong, it leads to confusion. It leads to corruption. So you need a moral anchor. You need a reference point, somebody, an entity that is outside the human environment, the lawgiver, to tell us what is right and what is wrong, and based on which we decide what we do. So that is my argument. We cannot use common sense. As I told you, how do you then decide that rape, for example, is wrong? Why is rape wrong? Because you think it's wrong. Because you think many people agree it's wrong. Well, some people also, that's why people commit these atrocities. Some people think it's right. That's why they do it. Now, let me ask you this. You see, when you go to the animal kingdom, the lion, when the lion kills a zebra, we call it killing. We don't call it murder. We don't. We call it killing. And that's what it is. It's killing. Because in the animal kingdom, there is no more objective moral values. Because na mi so na mi papa wonya imua ofie. No wonya inwan. Na me kai se edwan ne baako ye wawo ne ma. Na ne ma na ba nyini. Na bema wo mo maame no wawo ne ma. Na ne ma na ba nyini na baako abaye kakraka bema. No ne ofa ne maame no na ne odan one ne wo. In the animal kingdom, we don't say that act is morally correct or wrong. Yeah? When you never told him, but nobody say it is right or wrong, because in the animal kingdom, there is nothing like right or wrong. And rape goes on, killing goes on in the animal kingdom. Maybe your argument you will be that in human societies, we've come to agree that it is to our own advantage to agree that those acts of sleeping with children or sleeping with your own mom are not socially advantageous, and therefore it's a taboo. They are taboo. We don't go near them. So we agree that socially it benefits us to say that those things are wrong. Yes, I agree with you. But that in itself doesn't justify that that act is wrong. Can you see? The fact that we have agreed socially that that act is right or wrong doesn't make it right or wrong. Per se. So, what am I saying here? What I am saying is, without God, we cannot have objective moral values. So, for example, you are driving your car. Yeah? You're driving your car, and a police motor rider or a police car tell you to pull over. If you stop, it's because you believe that the police have got the power. The police is a law administrator. He can administer the law to you, and that is why you stop. So without us having God behind our objective moral values, then who is to decide what is right and wrong? You can choose to rape a woman, and that will be fine. Somebody can choose not to do that. Me choosing not to do it doesn't make it right or wrong. Because there is no lawgiver, and when there is no lawgiver, you do not have a moral obligation to either carry on with the act or stop it. So you can see why we need God to be able to what? Justify these things. And this is one of the proof of the existence of God. Because without the existence of God, moral values do not exist. And because moral values exist, then God must exist. God must exist. So, to wrap this up, Avraham Ben Moshie, you also argue vehemently in some of your videos that the book that the religious people say, the Quran or the Bible, that the Muslims and the Christians believe in, they are fake. They are just been written by people. They are not from anybody called God. What God gave us is our brain. That is ridiculous. And the argument I want to offer here is, it is true that some of these books may be corrupted, but that does not mean the lawgiver never gave a guidance. And that we are not obliged to follow the Quran or the Bible. The fact that these books may be corrupted, and I don't believe that in any doubt that the Quran is corrupted. The Quran is beautiful without any objection to the Quran. If you have any objection to the Quran, it's because of your own limited knowledge about the Quran. But let's move the argument forward. Now, what you are trying to say with the books of God is that it is perfectly all right because God has created and has given us a brain. That with that brain, we can lead our life perfectly. I say you are wrong. You are totally wrong. And let me give you a practical example. Say you buy a computer and you want to make the most of it and to use it perfectly. The computer comes to you. It comes with a manual, a book for you to follow. And you decide, oh, no, I'm not going to use this book. I think I've got my own brain to be able to use it. I bet you will destroy your computer. Because you have no knowledge about it. The only thing you will need is the person who made the computer to be able to guide you as to how you use it. So you take the manual, you open it, page after page, to try and help you how you use it. That's exactly what it is. When God created this, He gave us a book. Now, it may be correct. Just like I believe in the Bible, that the Bible, although there are some words of it that is from God, I also believe that some of it has been corrupted along the way. But the fact that some of it has been corrupted doesn't mean God never gave any book. O computer na o toy no. Enam kwan so eba no a DHL or whatever they brought no. What could have happened on the way is that the person bringing it could have tampered with the manual that comes with the laptop or the computer. And he might have changed some words in the manual. But that does not mean that the lawgiver or the computer maker, the one who built the computer, never gave a guidance. It's up to you to use your brain to search through the manuals of God to be able to see where are the corruption in them. But that does not dispute the fact that these books were revealed by the creator of mankind. Now let's come back to your thinking that the fact that God exists doesn't mean He has got an impact in our life. That's a joke. I don't think you know what you're talking about. Because what human beings offer in this world, what we do in this world, are all actions. For example, now that I'm talking to you from this screen is an action. It's just an action. You wake up in the morning, you go to work. It's just an action. You go to university to study. It's just an action. Everything, in fact, that we do in this world is just an action. You cannot say those actions are right or wrong. It's a bit like having a knife. A knife. You will be stupid to say a knife is good. And you'll be stupid to say the knife is what? Bad by its nature. You'll be wrong. It will be stupid, actually. It depends on how you use it. So the same knife can be used to kill somebody. The knife can also, as women in the kitchen and men in the kitchen, because these days men also cook a lot. So in the kitchen, ask the women. They will tell you the benefits of the knife. They help a lot in the kitchen. The television, Facebook, all these instruments that we have at our disposal, we cannot say they are right or wrong. It depends on how you use it. Mobile phones, people use them to do all sorts of bad things, criminal activities. Mobile money. Some people use the mobile phone. Before the mobile phone, when Ghanaians didn't, Ghana phone any mobile phone, no, we didn't know this mobile fraud. Now people use mobile phones to do fraud. In terms of mobile money, they call and they tell you, and you know it in Ghana, that I've sent money to somebody and it came into your whatever, and then can I get the money back? Well, as soon as you pay the money to them, they've defrauded you. So the point that I'm making here is mobile phone cannot be said to be right or wrong, because some people use it to do preaching, to tell people, to guide people who they work with. So it can be good and it can be bad. It depends on the way you use it. So the point that I'm making here is that everything we do in this world is just actions. For them to be right or wrong cannot be decided by you and me as human beings. You know why? Because when I decide that something is good or something is bad, it will be based on what my interests are, if we are allowed to do that. It will be based on what I think is right or wrong. So something might be bad, but because it benefits me as an individual, I will decide that that is good. It will be based on my interest. So you and I cannot decide what is right and wrong based on this fact. And therefore, if what we do in this world is all actions that we undertake. It's all based on actions. And those actions cannot be classified as right or wrong. Then we got to understand that if God is the one who should decide what is right and wrong, then God will always play a role in our life. Ben Moshie, we cannot run away from that fact. If you decide that God doesn't exist, then you can decide that raping women is okay. Because God is the only entity that can decide whether those actions are right or wrong. Because common sense cannot decide whether it is right or wrong. Because when you decide using your common sense, then you will do that based on your interest and your cost and benefit. So God Almighty needs to decide for us what is right and wrong. And when God decides that that is right or wrong, then whether we agree or we do not agree, because we humans we are limited. As I speak to you from this room, I don't know what is going on in the street nearby. My brain is limited. My eyes are limited. And therefore, if God says something is right or wrong, The fact that I do not understand it doesn't mean that it is not right or it is not wrong. Because I'm weak. So you can see the fallacy in your arguments, Ben Moshie. That we can use common sense to decide what is right and wrong. Whose common sense will be right and whose common sense will be wrong? This is where Ben Moshie is so wrong. And I hope that he's going to react to these videos that I've made. We want to talk about this intellectually. And we want to think through this. This is a discussion. This is a discussion and an honest discussion. Right? This is not about insult. I hate it when people insult each other. Because yepasia my Ghana entumpong. Ben Moshie, I agree with you that it is wrong for some church leaders who call themselves bishops and evangelists and malams and imams. They use the people to achieve their own selfish interests. But that does not mean believing in God and God having a role in our life makes us lazy. No! In fact, there are a lot of religious people in Ghana who are doing perfectly all right. They have got very good jobs. They've got very good businesses. But they believe in God. They go to Methodist Church, Catholic Church. They worship God and they do very beautiful things for their children. If you believe in God, it doesn't make you lazy. There are a lot of people in Ghana who have achieved a lot of things and they believe in God. It doesn't make them stupid. So I want you to react to this video and try to address the questions that I've posed to you. And we can have a fruitful discussion. There are a lot of things I do agree with you. And I think you are a very, very brilliant person. And I do like you in person because of the set of certain things that you've started in Ghana that has made people to think and think very deep, whether they are Muslims or Christians. And I can agree with you, a lot of the videos that we've done with either Muslims or Christians, you've defeated them. But it doesn't mean your arguments are correct. And from now, we are going to have a discussion. I do like you as a person, but you have so many wrong ideas that you hold. And we need to open this up and discuss this in public. Onyankopon wonya wo kese, wonya nyina kese. Ontintim wo a wotie me. Onyankopon onhyira ye nyina. Oma ye man Ghana entumpon. Onye ejidi ye mfama. Oma ye abotre di bedi nkomo. Ade ba kwa na me hu wo hu ne sa Avraham Ben Moshie. Sometimes when you talk as if you know all the truth. You need to have some modicum of humility. Because after all, you've changed your faith 3 times. According to you yourself. You used to be a Muslim, then you changed to become a Christian, then you changed to become a Jewish. Nobody knows where you stand now. So if you've changed your mind 3 times, there is the possibility that you can change your mind again. So calm yourself down. There is no hiding place from now. We are going to match you boot for boot. Intellectually. You know when President Mahama said he's going to match MPP for boot. We are going to match you boot for boot intellectually to discuss religion and to talk about right and wrong. As I said to you, there's so many things that I agree with you in terms of Ghanaians that are becoming lazy and some church leaders taking advantage of our own people and duping them and taking their money. I think that is totally wrong. And I do agree with you. All right. And we can propagate this and stop this happening. Send any papa Kennedy Japan ogusu a oye no wonya support bebree fi Ghana saa de na ekoso Ghana no eyade bi a o se nyina eka adwiri bom na etutu saa de na se time say the churches ni bi no, but that does not mean it is as a result of we believing in God. No, there are a lot of people who believe in God and worship God, and they're very nice people, and they are not lazy. They do whatever they need to do every day. They protect their children, feed their children, take their children to school, sponsor them. So when you believe in God, it doesn't make you a bad person, as you are trying to portray. And then my argument here has been, in conclusion, that the fact that we believe in God means that we need to allow God to regulate our lives. If you do not believe in God, that God doesn't regulate your life. It's as simple as that. You cannot say you believe in God, that God exists, but he shouldn't play a role in your life, as you say, Avraham Ben Moshie. So tell us where you stand. If you don't believe in God, tell us that you don't believe in God, and therefore God doesn't play a role in your life. Both cannot be correct. Into Onyankopɔn onsoro yɛ nyinaa. May expect sɛ ɔbɛ respond to me video yi. Onyankopɔn onye nyinaa kɛse na ɔmo nye sitie yɛmfa ntie n'asɛm. Ɔmo yɛ akoma pa a yɛde betie n'asɛm na yɛde yɛ adwuma. Onyankopɔn onsoro yɛ nyinaa, onhyia Ghanafoɔ nyinaa. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alamin.